everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of EBC Sports International. I'm Ben Bernaldez, broadcasting live from Quezon City, Philippines. And also this week's episode, and also like to thank you for joining us this week, and we hope that you are staying safe and continuing to do your part during these interesting times. Coming up to the show, Philippines' James De Los Santos takes over number one in online Kata World Rankings. And of course, in NBA, Lakers win record tying 17 NBA title, giving LeBron his fourth championship. And in the NFL, the possibility of completing the postseason in a bubble, but admitted the league had not ruled out extending the regular season to make up for the disruption caused by COVID-19. And of course, our question for the week, I know that most of us are here really interested in discussing this. Our question for the week would be, who would make a run to get Giannis and build a super team around him? And we have lots to talk about this week, and I'm sure my panelists are eager to get started. So let's meet our sports correspondents joining me today. From Seattle, Washington, we have Mike Hudson.
What's going on, everybody? Another Seahawks win. Wish Jolty was on the Sporters jersey, but we'll wait till next week.
All right, from Ontario, we have Zarita Sese.
Hi, everyone. I can no longer say the Raptors are NBA champs, so bear with me. I might shed a tear or two.
From Washington, D.C., where his team took the 2019-2020 NBA title, Ken Cruz.
Oh, sorry. You're talking to me, guys? Just drinking my Lakers championship humbly over here.
Summer League.
Excuse me.
NBA Summer League.
You need to drink from my championship cup.
NBA Summer League champions.
And joining us again from the Bay Area, Mark Nabong.
How's it going, everybody? Kobe.
All right. And we're reminding everyone that though we are passionate about our takes on different topics in sports, we are by no means expert, but just some friends talking sports. And before we jump into the discussion, we have a quick sports update from Zarita, and has been circulating in the sports world this week. Zarita?
Yeah, so Cristiano Ronaldo, soccer star and one of the world's most famous athletes, has actually tested positive for the coronavirus, which was confirmed by the Portuguese Football Federation earlier this week. So the team has assured that Ronaldo will isolate himself from his teammates. And another round of testing for the rest of the team actually revealed that he is the only one that actually tested positive. The federation said that he is doing well and is actually without symptoms, so he's asymptomatic. And again, he is in isolation. Ronaldo recently played in a friendly match against Spain and in the Nations League match against France on Sunday. Thankfully, no players from the Spain or the France team tested positive after they were exposed to Ronaldo. So Ronaldo appeared to be in good spirits as he posted a photo of himself on social media dining with his teammates, though I think this picture was taken before he was tested positive, with the caption of "United on and off the field." So according to ESPN, two other Portugal players, Jose Fonte and Anthony Lopez, tested positive last week. And as of now, 76 Series A players have tested positive for the coronavirus. So that's it for now. Back to you, Ben.
All right. Thank you very much, Zarita. And also some update on that news. Ronaldo said that he has violated his isolation protocol, but denied those allegations. And also, we have a quick NFL update from Mike.
Thanks, Ben. So the NFL may be heading towards a playoff bubble, that is. It was first proposed by the league that an NFL bubble would take place once the playoffs commence later this winter. Both Los Angeles and Texas were the proposed destination sites to hold the NFL bubble playoffs. But just a few days ago, it was determined that the bubble will not be taking place anymore. According to the NFL executive Troy Vincent, we're proceeding as is. So it looks like they won't be doing the bubble anytime soon. And he also added that he felt that a bubble would not be the safest course of action in preventing further COVID-19 infections among the players. And as we all know, the NFL has already met several positive COVID-19 cases, and they continue to buckle down on the constant testing that each NFL player is required to take, as well as continue to maintain a watchful eye on the players' actions off the field. So it looks like to me that the NFL feels that they're at their very best when they have to become flexible and adapting to adverse situations such as this. So let's hope that things will turn around very soon. Back to you, Ben.
All right. We'll have more discussion on that later on the show. We will take a quick break. When we get back, we will have James De Los Santos on the program.
Talagang napapawawa ko.
Yung performance mo was very powerful. Ang linis ng galaw mo.
Grabe yung connection nyo. As in, para kayo nagbabibrate papunta sa akin.
Papatunayan ng ating mga kalahok na when it comes to dancing, ay hindi laging totoo ang phrase na strength in numbers. It's their solo mission to own and dominate our TNG stage with their unique style. This is Tagisan ng Galing Part 2 Dance Edition.
Welcome back, everyone. You're watching EBC Sports International, and thanks for sticking with us. On to our main guest for this week, Filipino karateka James De Los Santos reached the top spot in the men's online kata world rankings based on his strong showing in recent competitions, including the Sports Data E-Tournament World Series. Based on the recent rankings of the E-Kata male individual seniors, De Los Santos accumulated 8,950 points, placing him ahead of Portuguese rival Eduardo Garcia with 8,575 points. The Southeast Asian Games medalist has collected medal after medal in successive online tournaments to reach the spot. Hi, James. Thank you for being with us today. And what an incredible month for you. How does it feel to be number one ranked in the world E-Kata?
Hi, everyone. I just want to say that, I'm very happy to be here again in this interview. And regarding becoming the new world number one in the E-Kata world rankings, I feel very ecstatic about it. And, I just feel proud that with all the hard work that I've done in all these virtual tournaments, I finally made it to the number one spot. I actually never thought that I would be able to reach it, given the fact that I was behind Portugal by nearly 3,000 points. And wow, it's just amazing with the progress that I've made, especially like with those people who really helped me get there.
So James, I know. Oh, sorry. I just wanted to ask James. I know you were talking about it before we actually started filming, but the whole idea of your own competition. But did you expect to win this many gold medals, and while doing so, beating some of the top players in the world?
Well, to be honest, I really was not expecting. I was not expecting to be winning this much gold medals in just over a span of 7 months. I just really told myself, along with my coach from Japan, he would tell me that, take this one tournament at a time, just focus on giving out your best. And, everything is always, everything is at the hands of the judges after my performance. And I just never expected to, as I mentioned earlier, win this many gold medals. I just expected myself to really just perform my best and enjoy the moment.
That's great. I had a question for you, James. So I kind of wanted to know more about your mindset going in. So the beauty about sports is that it's kind of like an art form, and that everybody has a different mindset. Some people want to hype themselves up before they go out there on the court or the field. people like to keep a calm demeanor or environment. People need like loads of sleep the day before. What's kind of like your approach to every tournament that you compete in?
I would say that it goes for the same as any athlete. Like I would always keep myself calm, keep myself prepared and relaxed, and I would always tell myself like, you've done what you could. You just have to really enjoy the moment, put your mind into it, and always believe in yourself. That's what's the most important thing there. Like, you can have a lot of people believing in you, but you'll never succeed if you don't believe in yourself. That's really the most important thing there. Like they always say that, 10 to 20% is from the people that believe in you, but 80 to 90% has to come from you. So that's what I always tell myself. Just enjoy and then warm up good before you make that final cut. Like, and that's when I just release everything and really give out a great performance, just like how I've done it in the actual tournament.
So James, you've congratulations on number 16 yesterday. Just like the Lakers this year, potentially number 17 tomorrow. I'm just going to plug the Lakers in every chance I get, by the way. How do you differ from, each performance, right? So it's just like, obviously you're not going to give the same performance from one to the other. Like, how do you mentally change from performance to performance, from competition to competition, ensure that you get gold, and you're still above your peers when it comes to the scoring?
Well, I would say that from the previous tournaments that I've been competing in, my coaches in Japan have noticed that my performance has been improving in every tournament that I join. Like before, I would always score within like 23 or 24, and then lately now I've been scoring at 25 points, and then I guess it's really all just a matter now of really competing with yourself. Like I tell myself now, okay, I've been scoring on the 25s. Now my next goal for these upcoming tournaments is to score on 26. That's how I get better. And at the same time, I have these opponents that I challenge. They're also my gauge at the same time. Like I tell myself, okay, I'm going to motivate myself to always to perform a lot better, to make sure that my opponents don't come near the score that I'm really aiming for. That's how I've been preparing myself for these tournaments lately.
Yeah, and with that, I mean, just to piggyback off of your answer, like it's literally just you. It's you that is presented. You're by yourself on video, right? I mean, how do you keep yourself motivated, knowing that at the end of the day, like you mentioned before our taping that you have 11 of these tournaments next month. How do you keep yourself motivated to be like, I want all of these wins, I want all of these golds?
Well, because I do believe also it's a matter of also having the right mindset and always set goals for yourself. That's what motivates you to always improve in every tournament. That's also for the betterment of the progress that you make. So I have these things in mind, and I also, it's unconfirmed also, but I heard that there is a grand winner award for every number one ranked player in their respective category. So that's also another goal that I've set for myself, besides trying to reach a score of 26 and above, and also looking forward to the grand winner award. These are the things that are still making me continue these tournaments, because I think a lot of people have already thought that, okay, he's now the new world number one, and I guess it's done for him. I'm like, no, there's still more work to be done. And my kata coach and I have talked, and he said we have a new goal, and that's to maintain the world number one spot for the rest of the year, because I know for a fact also that there will be other e-kata players out there that want the number one spot. So that's another goal we've set. And we also want to widen the gap of the ranking points to make sure that no other competitor will come close to the number of points that I've gained from these tournaments.
One more question from me. Is this your prime?
Well, well, I can't really say for sure that it is. It's like I always just tell myself, you just got to go out there and really perform and just really just believe in yourself. It's all like I don't think I really don't think age plays a big factor because I've seen world champions winning their first title at a young age, and I've seen world champions winning titles at a late age in life. So I think to me, age is just a number. It's just a mindset. But for me, like my mindset has always been believe in yourself because I've trained hard and I've worked hard for this. It really all boils down to that. You just got to believe in yourself and just really enjoy the moment.
It's working, my man.
So one question I had is, if I can jump in here real quick, James, it's having the success that you've had. How do you keep yourself, why? Well, I guess what I'm really trying to ask is why is this so important to you?
Well, because to be honest, like the reason why I still want to compete in these kata tournaments is because it's really it's really for the love of the sport and for the country as well. Like if there's something that you really are into that you really love, it's also hard to let go. And I always tell myself like the key to finding happiness is to really set goals, work hard on the things that you really love doing. So kata is my passion. It's what I really love to do. That's what really keeps me going.
All right, James, and any last message to all, of course, your students and also are wanting to support you on your journey to still keep that number one spot. I'm sure you still have a lot of tournaments to join as well.
Well, I would just like to really, number one, I thank God for this opportunity and for keeping not just me, healthy and safe, but people around, to people around the world, and especially to my students who've been also successful in these recent virtual tournaments. If I want to just mention their names. Fatima, Julia, and Karen, if you're watching this, I'd like to say congratulations on your recent success. And I also want to encourage other athletes out there. I mean, not just karate, to try out these virtual tournaments if your sport has adapted to this concept. I mean, it's one way of keeping yourself motivated. So I'd like to, really encourage all the athletes out there to give it a try. And, I'd also like to thank my sponsor, Cafeya, who's always been with me throughout these years as my, as in my athletic career. And, I want to thank my kata coach, Masa Saito, for really bringing out the best in me. Also to his father, Kazuo Saito Sensei, and to their star student, Nozomi Yamanaka, for all their teachings. And I'd also like to thank my former senior teammate, Jerby Lacorte, for letting me use his dojo as the virtual tournament venue. To my parents who've been with me throughout all my years as an athlete in karate, and especially to those who have really supported me in this, and of course to all you guys for interviewing me here. Thank you so much for having me here again. It's really an honor. And back to Ken, I'm really happy that the Lakers won. West Coast all the way.
Oh, yeah, James, pride of the Philippines, Del Santos. Thank you, man.
Yeah, and to Mike, man, I never knew that you were from Seattle. My dad is from there. Seahawks all the way. Seahawks all the way, man.
That's a bold throws, huh?
Don't get him started, James. Don't get him started.
Love that, baby.
Oh yeah.
I didn't like you at first because you said the Lakers, but now it's my likeness.
Oh man, Mike,
now Mike's not gonna stop talking.
Maybe one day if I go to the States, man, like, because I got big family in Seattle, maybe, who knows, we could meet one day, like.
Oh, absolutely, man. Yeah, you're welcome anytime.
Oh wow!
All right,
I
James.
look forward to that, man.
We'll embrace
Thank you.
Open arms.
Thank you again, and it's always a pleasure to to talk to you, and we always really appreciate what you're doing for the country. And still, of course, you still have a lot of students that you want to teach and follow your footsteps. And I hope, and we hope that you continue to bring glory and honor for the country, and also help the younger generation of Filipino karate. All right, James, stay safe.
Thank you very much, sir.
We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me here. I really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, James.
All right, guys,
Thank
we'll
you so
take a
much.
quick break, but don't go anywhere because we will get back and we'll talk about, of course, the 2020 Lakers NBA champions. So stick around.
ASEAN in Focus, Monday to Friday, 2 to 2:30 p.m.
Welcome back to EBC Sports International. I'm your host, Ben Bernaldez, and we are now to, of course, congratulate Los Angeles Lakers for winning the NBA champion this season. Now, the Los Angeles Lakers, fueled by superstar LeBron James, triple-double, dominated the Miami Heat 106-93 last Sunday to win a record equaling 17 NBA championship, but their first in a decade. And now to discuss and what the takes of what happened in this championship run. Now, he earned an NBA Final Most Valuable Player honors for fourth time and said the accomplishment he had a special flavor with the Lakers. Let's start with Ken. Now, I'm sure you're very eager to make a point and and show your team celebrate their championship. Go ahead, Ken.
You know, I was originally going to take this week off, but I just had to come here to grace this episode.
Do you need us here? Should we go? Should we go?
Thank all of my haters. Just kidding. No, it's one of those things that there was just so much happening throughout the course of the season. So many words said by a certain friend of mine. He's below me in these blocks. His name is Michael Hudson. Thank you for antagonizing me and my team, Michael. But I always thought that the Lakers had everything as far as the pieces. What was funny was that as they were getting the pieces together, it was kind of like a meme team, right? Where they were laughing at all the ads that the team was putting together, right? Dwight Howard, oh, ha, ha, ha. This guy doesn't work for it. He doesn't work well with others. He's, too proudful. If he doesn't get the ball, he's going to be angry. Rajon Rondo, that guy's washed up. You saw his performance in Dallas. He only plays in the playoffs, if that, and he's always hurt. Danny Green misses in all the shots. Actually happened this year. So, but he was around I think 35%, which is still serviceable, along with defense. Avery Bradley, he didn't come to the bubble, but imagine if they did. And then even J.R. Smith and it's just a crazy team that they put together. But at the end of the day, the Lakers had two of the best players in the NBA. LeBron James in his 17th season and Anthony Davis in his prime. Who's going to beat that? They were literally the tallest team. You're going against the Miami Heat in the finals where their starting center, Bam Adebayo, is the same height as LeBron James, which is the point guard of the Lakers. What did you expect was going to happen? It wasn't going to be a great matchup. That's why I was scared of the Celtics making it, because they were going to be actually a way better and scarier matchup. And even the Bucks against the Lakers, just because they would have been able to at least match up closer height-wise and made these guys work harder on defense. But as you can see, no, who's going to guard Anthony Davis? The guy can dribble it up the court if he wants to, pull up from three, pull up from mid-range, and post you up. It just wasn't going to happen. And, with the averages of these guys, LeBron James, 29.8 points. 11.8 rebounds, 8.5 assists per game in the finals. And it's just one of the stats before I pass it off for a brief second. I'll come back later. One of the stats which is crazy to me this season, Lakers 57-0 if they led after the third quarter, which means that, you know, with any other team, you have 48 minutes to beat them, to outscore them, to win the game. With the Lakers this season, if you didn't outscore them in 36 minutes, you lost the game. That is a crazy stat. And it's one of those things where it's just like, the Warriors were hurt this year. I mean, that wasn't going to happen. And the Nets were also hurt. And next year, it's going to be a potentially different. Yeah. Next year, it's going to be potentially different. I'm very scared of that Nets team. And if this Warriors team gets a little deeper, they're also going to be scary. But there is a high possibility that these Lakers aren't done yet and can potentially repeat, especially with all indications that Anthony Davis is going to re-sign with the Lakers. And it's looking like that way. And it's also looking like Rondo's going to re-sign and potentially even Dwight Howard. So I think if they run it back, I think, and then they'll have Avery Bradley this time. So I think it's one of those things where the magic can happen twice. Congrats, Lakers. Toby, this is for you.
Mike, what's on
more? You guys want more? I got more for you. I can do this all day,
Mike,
guys.
please stop him. Mike, please.
Continue, Mike.
Have no
Continue.
ammunition. Yeah, I mean, me being always a LeBron fan, always a LeBron fan, even before all these Lakers fans were LeBron fans. I'm extremely happy for him getting his fourth ring. And, you know, again, like what Ken said, not surprised about the mismatch, huge mismatch. I mean, for the Heat to even win 2 games, I mean, just goes to show how much heart and soul the Miami Heat had. Jimmy, I think one of the things that stood out to me was just how big of a dog Jimmy Butler was. I think he really proved time and time again how much of a clutch player he was, especially and just not backing down. I mean, this guy twisted his ankle just badly in game 1, and the way he was able to come back, compete against LeBron, talk trash against LeBron, and just not back down. I mean, it was just very commendable. But at the end of the day, you know, the Lakers just had all the pieces to get the job done. As far as next season, like I said in last week's show, everybody's sleeping on the Warriors. Warriors are going to be coming back with a vengeance. They have something to prove again, and I think they're definitely going to be the team to stand in the way of the Lakers, not the Clippers. So, yeah, those are my thoughts.
Thanks for those thoughts, Mike.
All right, and I know, Mike. It's been, as you mentioned, Ken and Mike. We all agreed, of course. Zarida and also Mark would also say that this was an easy path for the Lakers in this season. But of course, after this, there will be some changes, and there's some rumors about trades. And what are your thoughts on some speculations? Let's start with Sarita.
I think if the Lakers keep the core, which again, it looked like AD was alluding to the fact that he does intend to re-sign with the Lakers, I think they can do it again. You have LeBron James. And I just want to add to the last question, being a self-professed LeBron hater, I will say it, I came to appreciate LeBron in this finals, and you see how hard and how seriously he takes this craft. And the fact that he addressed the comparison to Michael Jordan directly in his post-game interview, I'm like, okay, this guy's serious when he says there was something about this season that fueled me, and that it's the constant comparison to a player who was in a completely different time of the NBA, and he needed to prove I guess also to himself and fans that he still has something to prove. So that actually won me over. But can we just talk about the fact that J.R. Smith was the first one to touch the trophy? I was so annoyed seeing J.R. Smith pick up that trophy. And I was just like, where's 80? Where's LeBron? But yeah, so those are my thoughts on LeBron. Fine, whatever. I'm a fan. Yeah, okay, I admit it.
Wait, can I say something?
then-
Can I say something before I forget? How many times did AD? How many times was he on the floor or just grabbing at something and then he would bounce right back up and just like dunk the ball?
That's literally why they call him.
Are you really hurt? Are you really hurt? Or are you just playing chicken?
Anthony Day-to-Day Davis for a reason. Because the guy is just doesn't get hurt like.
Biggest guy in the court.
Injuries. It's just like little injuries that keep him off the floor for a couple minutes, a couple days. But I mean, if any of those happened during the regular season, he would have been done for the day. I mean,
the acting is good. I mean, I've done my fair share of acting, but man, that was.
No, but I mean, like the thing what I noticed with him too is that he moves kind of like oddly, right? I mean, I think it's the fact that he grew up as a guard, as a point guard, and then like became like a center, like as he grew too tall. And I think the way that he moves makes it like he kind of moves like a gazelle, right? And like I think people aren't used to someone of his size moving like that, so he's in everyone's way. And that's what I've noticed just watching tape and watching him. Like, just seems to be like always in someone's like foot path or leg path, and then he'll just like land on someone or someone will land on him. And I'm just like, man, you're not supposed to like move around like that when you're that large. But I mean, I understand like it's something that he's lanky, he's kind of awkward looking. But I mean, at the end of the day, he produces results, man. That's our unibrow. That's our unibrow.
I was going to say another thing that LeBron did is how many players has he gotten a ring for? I think one of them is Dwight. Is this his first ring?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, for example, Dwight Howard, that caliber player, now that he has a ring, a lot of people are asking, is he a Hall of Famer? And people are asking, can't ask that question now because of someone like LeBron. So I'm going to throw it back to you guys. Do you think a guy like Dwight Howard, who now has a ring because of playing with LeBron, is he a Hall of Famer?
Well, especially Dwight Howard, 100%. He was a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. He's one of those guys that even just with his defensive accolades, like already puts him on in the Hall. I mean, he got to the finals carrying, a team. A couple of those guys were hardcore on steroids, like Hito and Rashard Lewis.
That Magic team was pretty nice to watch, though.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice to watch. Those guys were a little too buff for their own good. But it's one of those things where like he carried. He's pretty much one of the last traditional big men before the league switched over to the current shooting mentality. And for him to be able to adjust his game, hey, he's also one of two people who was able to get up to 100% in the finals from shooting from three. What's up?
How many threes did he take?
One for one, guys.
One for one.
He shot that very unnecessary three at the end of Game 6 and sealed the deal for the Lakers.
Congratulations to the Lakers. But one thing I definitely want to mention about LeBron is you really got to give him a lot of credit. Zarita, like you were talking about, how many rings has he gotten for veterans and other players in the league that weren't on the team, and he just decided to hire them like assassins. And you take this kid out of Akron, Ohio, you put him under this immense pressure that is the NBA, and you label him the chosen one. They called him King James, for crying out loud. He makes millions of dollars as a teenager just through Nike endorsements without stepping foot on the court at the professional level, and he is completely unfazed. He's faithful to his high school sweetheart. He wifes her up. They have a family. He spends time with that family. He's never in the news with a negative story about absolutely anything. And then during all of this time, he's standing up for civil rights and injustices that's happening in the world. And he even decided maybe we should cancel this season because it's not right to move forward with this season if this injustice still goes. And he was one of the first ones to say, we're not going to play the rest of the season if the rest of the league agrees. And he was willing to sacrifice this very championship for that cause. And so he just seems to do everything right. And as a diehard Warriors fan, I probably only hated him in Game 5 of that first the second title run for getting Draymond suspended. But outside of that, he's been in every finals, maybe minus the last year, in the last decade, championships with 3 teams, 3 different cities, both conferences, averaging almost a triple double in year 17 in the NBA finals. LeBron is king. There's no way around it until the Warriors come back next year, at least.
I've mentioned this on the show before. His biggest fault is being corny. Like these hashtags on his IG are deplorable. They are absolutely disgusting. Washed king hashtag. Revenge season. Hashtag Taco Tuesday, whatever.
Oh my gosh, that Taco Tuesday was the most annoying sound ever. Oh my gosh.
I love him for everything, but it's just like, man, he is the king of dad jokes as much as he is the king of the court. It's one of those things where I'm just like, dude, calm down, man. Like, have someone else write these for you, because like,
that's what I love about LeBron, though, is like he is not afraid to be himself. Like, there's so many athletes out there that are just like so guarded, like MJ, for example, totally guarded. I think the only time we really saw him was during that documentary, but like LeBron is just like a goofball. And like my brother who actually worked on a Lakers staff for a few months, he said like LeBron is like easily one of the funniest guys. Like he's like so down to earth, just totally transparent, and just like an awesome teammate. So
and I think that's what he has above Kobe in a sense, right? Kobe waited too long. He waited until like literally his last like 2 or 3 years in the league before he really opened up. Before then, he was a known recluse, right? Being in the gym at 3 a.m., right? Or telling people, "Oh, I'm leaving for the day," and then comes back to the gym, right? Those kinds of things, like it's helped kind of like create a rift between his teammates. But one of the things that you can't fault LeBron for is picking his team up, being very vocal, being that vocal leader. Making sure that all of his guys are accounted for, and just like being unapologetic. Kobe was like that. He was like the old uncle towards the end of his career. But the crazy thing to me is that I don't even know this is like LeBron's like 5th or 6th prime, and if he has like 3 or 4 more primes, it's insane to me.
Yeah, he probably does.
I don't even process 17 seasons. If I was just to like look at him like outside of age, I would think that he is like at his first prime right now, and still has like 4 or 5 more years of.
Well, I mean, when you have someone like AD taking a lot of the load off of you, like, I mean, it was the same thing with KD. When KD was with Golden State, like, so much of the load was taken off of him that.
What's equally as important? Rondo, because this is one of the first times that he's had like a backup point guard with equal IQ as him, so that he doesn't have to bring the ball up. Mm-hmm. And so that like really takes off a lot of miles. I think per minutes, like this is the least amount of minutes he's had for all of his playoff runs. And that is only going to extend his career.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
I didn't realize this was going to be a LeBron like fan fest, but another thing that I just wanted to add quickly is Mark was talking about how he was willing to stop this season, but another part is he's kind of looking at everything always bigger picture. He wanted to stop the season, but he wanted to have a proper plan in place so that there's longevity to what they were doing. So again, that's just another testament that LeBron's big braining everybody. He's always constantly looking out for someone other than himself for the greater good. That's my last thing.
Anyone
you notice, guys, most NBA stars, when they grow older, they tend to change their outlook in their life. And from the younger days of LeBron or Kobe, they were very different. As they grow older, they tend to be more involved in the society, and also being involved with the community. And I begin to like LeBron as his career progressed, and I believe you're correct, Ken, that he would have more years to to play in the NBA and probably more championship with the Lakers if their lineup would stay intact. Speaking of the Lakers intact going to the next season, there's a rumor that Chris Paul is being recruited. What can you say about these guys?
Back to back. That's all I got to say about that.
I mean, I would say it's a bad move because I mean he's due $85 million the next 2 years, so that would prevent them from re-signing a lot of their bench that's helped them. But yeah, I mean, if they can somehow pull it off, then I mean they're going to be probably prohibitive favorites to win.
Yeah, honestly, the only way that I could see that happening is if like AD gets crazy minded and wants to do his own thing and leaves. That would probably the only way that I would see that making sense at all. And then they'd have to get like, DeMarcus Cousins, right? That would probably be like a good fill-in, like a cheaper fill-in for AD. But, as Mike said, like the salaries just don't seem to match up. The Kuzma salary is like what, like 2-3 million? I mean, that's nothing compared to what CP3 is owed. So.
Yeah, I think the NBA might block that one, just like last
again.
Again, round two. No, I salary wise, I don't think it matches up unless AD walks, and I don't know if Chris Paul and LeBron is as good or a dynamic as a AD and LeBron, and I don't even think Anthony Davis is going anywhere because he's got a free ride with the best player in the league right now still. So
and look at his endorsements, the amount of side money he's making in LA. Why would you walk from that?
No.
Let's see, 13% state tax. I'm just kidding.
Space Jam 2, Space Jam 2, apparel. Also, all these like what is it? Motor oil commercials. He's in one of the big chips. I don't know if it's a Ruffles. The guy is just making a lot of bank. Just wearing the purple and gold.
I got to cover that California state income tax. That's why.
Yeah, I think it's covered it
huge
multiple times over.
It's like
all right. And any predictions for next season? Who's gonna move? There are a lot of free agent going to the next season, but who's the number one? Who's really wanting to go to shift from other teams? Just give your points on this, guys.
I'll say one, not necessarily move, but as I mentioned earlier, I think Nets are the scariest team to watch out for. If they somehow gel and Steve Nash is somehow able to control these crazy personalities that he has and somehow is able to do his job as a coach, unlike Kyrie's talking about, if he's able to do that, then I think these guys have a very deep team. As I mentioned before, they have a potential 5 All-Stars as a starting squad. It's insane. I mean, I would be scared if I were the East.
Yeah, no, I think the East is going to look a lot different next year. It's kind of been at a standstill with certain teams always at the top for the past 3 or 4 years. But with Katie, Kyrie, Steve Nash, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm scared. And who knows? The Raptors might fall off to like not making the playoffs.
I think biggest thing I'm excited for to see. Oh, sorry, Mark, to cut you off. I was just going to say, I'm just really excited to see Phoenix. I think that's going to be one team that's really going to improve next year. So that's I don't know about transactions, but that's the team I'm looking forward to watching next year.
Oh yeah.
Completely out of left field on this one, but I would like to see the Clippers move Kawhi Leonard. I know it sounds crazy. I know it's a crazy. Wow. Yeah, it's getting a little bit warm. It is 90 degrees in the Bay today. But I mean,
Zoldy the second here. Zoldy the second.
No, I mean, looking at the reports that are coming out about, Kawhi receiving preferential treatment from Doc Rivers and it causing a rift between, him, Harrell, and Williams, and just all the guys on the team.
It's called jealousy, Mark.
Jealousy. Yeah, it is. But at the same time, it's, can you will you rebuild a whole team around Kawhi, or is it easier to
That's
build?
Not going to change with Tyronn Lue. That's not going to change with Tyronn Lue because Ty Lue, like, he did the same thing with LeBron. LeBron could do whatever he wants.
Yeah,
exactly.
They're going to get more of the same.
That may be the case why Clippers chose Ty Lue to be the next head coach, because he's able to talk to players, superstar players like Kawhi or LeBron, what he did in the Cavs. So I think it's also one of the best fit for Tyler to be the head coach of the Clippers, and we'll see if Kawhi would change. And because a lot of people were expecting LA Clash this season, but it did not happen. And also how Kawhi wasn't able to bring Clippers to the next level. And we'll see. And for me, the Dallas Mavericks, I'm rooting for the Dallas to really move up with Doncic and of course, and they're also wanting to. One of the teams would really buy in to get Giannis. So I'm not sure if it's possible, and we'll see that next season. All right, guys, we'll take a quick break and we'll continue our discussion. Of course, NFL season and much awaited some teams going up in the rankings and some also news about the bubble. We'll discuss that after the break.
Hey there, Arnie Aquino here at Hatley Castle, one of the filming locations for the X-Men series. Don't forget to tune in to Digital Nest only on Net25.
Welcome back to EBC Sports International. This is Ben Bernaldez. On to NFL. The National Football League Chiefs on Tuesday played down the possibility of completing the postseason in a bubble, but admitted the league had not ruled out extending the regular season to make up for disruption caused by COVID-19. In a conference call with the reporters, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell again warned teams to strictly follow coronavirus safety protocols after last weekend's schedule saw games move to a cluster of cases affecting the Tennessee Titans and the New England Patriots. Mike, what do you think about this move by the NFL? Do you think it's possible for a regular season to have a longer schedule? Do you think a bubble would be effective?
Well, I think a bubble is always going to be effective. I mean, the NBA just proved how successful a bubble is. I mean, they had 0% infection rate
standard
the entire time. NFL, obviously, it would be a lot more trickier because you're talking about 30 plus teams, 100 people per team. So do the math there. But I mean, I think they're making the right move. I think they're really taking into consideration what could happen if they move forward with those games, considering those positive tests. I think it was a good move to move the game to Tuesday. But at the same time, this might be coming out of left field. But I think this is really giving the NFL some ideas about putting games every day. Imagine the NFL just dominating every single day, Sunday through Saturday. Because I mean, if you look at the viewership, I mean, it's pretty strong right now, especially that Tuesday game, even though it was just the Titans and who did they play? Forgot totally. Buffalo Bills. I'm sorry. Buffalo Bills and Titans, even though it wasn't the best teams, I mean, it was still a really fun game to watch. So I think they are making the best move because, they want the best players to play. So they want to kind of give that leeway in case of anything coming about.
I just think that anything that's not in the bubble is really risky right now, especially with such a high contact sport. I mean, and the fact that these guys go home, that's crazy to me. Are they keeping tabs on where these guys are going as far as and where their families are going and whoever they're living with, who's coming in and out of their places? I mean, that's 3,000, people at least, plus other personnel, and it's just crazy to me that the tabs that they should be taking, even though these guys are getting tested, it's just not foolproof. What is foolproof is what happened with the NBA. I mean, it's like as Mike said, this is gold standard, man. They did it for how many months, and it worked. yeah, it's going to cost you a lot more and you're going to have a lot more hotels. But I mean, if you're looking for full proof, actual evidence that worked and that succeeded, this is it. I don't understand why they're doing anything different than what has been proven to work. Because what they're doing right now obviously isn't working. I like where Mike was coming from, where I think that's the only valid idea is the fact that they want to be on the TV every day. But other than you can still do that in the bubble too. I feel like it's one of those things where they should actually do that in the bubble so that they can spread out the games. And if there's only a couple football fields, then you have to. But this is insane to me that they're not even that haven't come to a conclusion that a bubble is necessary.
I think the NFL is just going through what the MLB went through, is that they had to go through that little, I hate to say it, that little spreading of COVID for them to actually be like, okay, no, this is a serious problem that we actually have to contain. And look at the MLB now. They've transitioned to that bubble style. But at the same time, it's the NFL can put in all these regulations, but it's also down to the players themselves to actually do it for the sake of their season. The fact that you're going to have players go into a closed facility to complete a workout, that's as much on the players themselves as it is on the NFL, the owners, and things like that. It's just everyone has to be on the same page of what their ultimate goal is.
I mean, it's kind of like imagine you go into a Walmart on Black Friday and you decide to shake everybody's hand. Like, essentially that's what these players are doing. They're dapping players each other up on the field. They're, obviously it's a full contact, quite literally a full contact sport. And then they just go home. Like, if I did that every Sunday, or if I did that once a week, I would be completely nervous if I had a little baby or an older parent or even a grandparent at home. And it's just normal for them. And so I think it's cute. They're talking about the bubble and all of that. Last week I said the NFL is all about their profit over their people. And this just goes to show. I mean, I think one more thing real quick. I think what they could have done before the season started was really explore the bubble idea. And you play your division twice a year, right? I mean, each team twice a year. Start in the divisions. Why not? Just put the 4 teams in a bubble. Each division has their own bubble. Not just play the games for 2 months, move them to another conference, and just figure it out that way. And then if you need 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month in between, each of these things, or you can even offset them. You can have games Monday through Sunday. I think the NFL missed out big time here. If they're really concerned about profit, they missed out really big time here.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you, Mark. I think if the owners really wanted the bubble idea, it would have happened. They could have easily done some type of vote for a bubble, but they obviously don't care enough. So totally agree with you.
All right, guys. And so for the NFL, we still have to wait and see what will be their decision. But I think the bubble would be very effective, not only protecting the players, but also their families as well. And we don't have to take this COVID lightly. I think the management has to think of ways to really not only protect the business, but also the players itself. But and still, the decision would still be with the management. And I hope that they try to copy what the NBA did for other sports. And we saw how successful the NBA bubble is. And not only, of course, we all want to see sports on TV and online. But I think the most important thing here is the health of everyone. And we'll pause for a break, and of course for our question of the week, and we'll see which teams are going to run for and to get Giannis to build a super team around them. We'll be right back.
Kumanta, sumaya tayong lahat. Saya-saya.
We are back now. 2021 NBA free agency is just less than a year away, and the list of superstars is just stacked as it is headlined by no other than Giannis Antetokounmpo. The reigning MVP has been franchise cornerstone for the Milwaukee Bucks and an unstoppable force for opposing teams, making him arguably the most desired player in 2021. Now, guys, the question for the week: who would make a run to get Giannis and build a super team around him? Let's start with Mike.
For me, I look at it kind of as playing styles. Who would he fit with the best? And I think for Giannis, he needs a lot of shooters because he himself can't shoot that well. So I'm going to go with the Dallas Mavericks. I say that because their playing style, they're very athletic playing style, a lot of pick and rolls. Doncic is gonna be a complete. He's already a beast, but he's gonna take it to the very next level next season. And you have Kristaps Porzingis there still. You also have Hardaway. So I think Mark Cuban is doing his best to pull it off, and I think they will.
It's gonna be an all-European team if that happens.
Oh yeah.
Mark?
Yeah, I would love to see Giannis with Dallas. They got such a good thing going there. I don't know what they would have to give up to make that happen, but if they could somehow keep the other Curry, Doncic and Porzingis with Giannis, I think that would be a great thing to watch. The other thing that I just saw recently was that the Miami Heat, I guess it sounds like they're preparing to go all in to get Giannis. And as much as I would love to see that happen too, just kind of plug and play, have him play with Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson and Jimmy Butler, and whatever they can end up keeping as part of that team, run it back. If it's Lakers in Miami again next year, that would be a fun finals. Put Giannis in the mix, and then who knows? But I think the Heat would have to give up way too much, and I think they take a step back to make that happen. I think the Warriors, the reason they were able to do that was because they added someone that was so dynamic. They can, with Kevin Durant being able to score, rebound, play defense, handle the ball. He could do pretty much anything on the floor just as well as anybody else. With Giannis, he's kind of limited by his shooting. That's probably the one weakness I would say. And so having that weakness, like you guys mentioned, he's going to need some shooters around him. And I think it would kind of have to be, they got to give up some shooters to land him in Miami. But Dallas would be I would love to see that.
Zarita.
I'm going to go against the grain a little bit and say Giannis actually stays. For some reason, I get this vibe from him that he's a very loyal player, especially to an organization that's treated him well. And I think right after the elimination, it was reported that he had a meeting with the owners. And I'm pretty sure they said, Giannis, tell us what you need us to do, and we will do everything and anything to keep you. And like he said, as long as the organization and him are on the same page, then he has no reason to leave. And again, I just get that sense from Giannis that he's not someone that's just going to up and leave an organization. He's going to stick to his word and win at least one with the Bucks and then move on. But I don't think he's going anywhere.
All right. Ken?
This is tough, especially with his extension. He has a full year left, right, before getting before signing a new deal. So unless he does like pulls an AD and request a trade for next year, I think there's a good chance that he might stay. I mean, like he's due $220 to $250 million for a 5-year contract. And so that's a hard thing to like pass up, right? But as both Mark and Mike said, I mean, like I think Dallas is a great landing spot, but it's also tough because Porzingis already has one of the max contracts at I think 5 years, 158. So they would have to either trade Porzingis next year, which I think would be the best. The best way for the numbers to work out for both teams, but it's hard I would think Milwaukee would find it a hard buy for them to pick up the trade Giannis, who's like star, like pretty healthy other than this like ankle, versus Porzingis, who's literally like injury laden, hardcore, never on the court. I mean, when he's on the court, he's amazing. It's just that he's just never on the court. And so I think that's going to be a hard buy. They would have to give up a handsome price with a bunch of picks, a bunch of like money, and I don't know if Dallas will be willing to do that, and I don't know if Milwaukee will be willing to take that.
You know, a young team in the West that might be really good, really interesting to put him on is, maybe a Denver or even a Utah. Great shooting. Jamal Murray he took it to another level in this playoffs. And him versus Donovan Mitchell in that first round was incredible to watch. That was so much fun. That reminded me of when it was Bulls and Celtics back in the day with Ben Gordon, and Ben Gordon was on the Bulls. Who was the Celtics guy?
Was it Ray Allen, Jason Terry?
I think it was. Yeah. And they were just going back and forth, overtime after overtime.
You know who can afford him? The OKC Thunder. So him and CP3 would actually be an amazing duo.
Oh, why would he do that?
Well, that's what I'm saying. But I'm just thinking about teams that can afford him that don't already have a big, right? And him with an elite point guard, I think it would be great for him, great for his longevity, and then would help him get to the right spots versus him thinking that he needs to do everything himself, which I think was his problem the last couple playoff series.
Well, Giannis has popularly voiced out his intention to stay with Bucks, like what Sarita said. But there's no question. There's still a big possibility he can take his talents elsewhere, especially if the Bucks, still fail to win the championship this year. And we saw that being the number one in the regular season and taken out early in the playoffs. And I think his decision might be also affected by it, and I want him to see improve and also be a great NBA player, and a championship team would really fit for him. Probably the Warriors, if he needs shooters. There's a lot of shooters in the Warriors, and that's just my choice.
Come through, Giannis.
And whatever his decision would be, I think the teams who would really get him would benefit from it. And that's all we have for this week's edition for EBC Sports International. And on behalf of everyone on our panel, thank you for joining us, and be sure to tune in next week, and make sure to visit our website at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and at twitter.com/eaglenewsph to join the conversation. For Eagle News, I'm Ben Bernaldez. We'll live in interesting times.